Hello, Lyric Armstrong, real estate agent and advocate. All right, I was gonna shut it down, but we're in Judge Middleton's court, Wonderful gems just keep coming. So I listened a little bit longer and there's some information I think everyone would love to hear. So let's just jump right on in. I'm gonna head on over to Judge Middleton's court. Please go ahead, like, share, and subscribe. And once again, sorry for my voice. I was partying too hardy, right? Getting it in too much. Um, all right, landlord tenant, August 11th. Judge Middleton comes back in. Let's make sure we're able to hear what's going on. Let's get him in here. So if someone calls in and wants to call in to court, they had an emergency. Like, no. All right. Oh wait, you know what? I need to make sure you guys can hear. I'm so glad I double checked because I hate the fact that Zoom makes me do extra steps to share sound. Hey Zoom, if I want to share my screen, sound should be automatically checked. If I don't want to share sound, then I can turn it off.
Maya joining. Andy, I discussed.
All right, let's hear what he has to say.
That's somebody named Jeremiah joining. Andy, I discussed the fact that these rents, the weekly rents, are expensive. I think what may be going on is you have a bunch of people that get in here, then stop paying, get a termination of tenancy, and get 3 months of no rent. Because it takes a while to go through this process.
Oh, yeah.
So this is kind of what I wanted to come back for. You may say, huh, what? Let's kind of depack it. So we were looking at one of the tenants is paying around $400 a week. $400 a week. For seemingly around the same, it's the same building, so it's not like a whole new building. They may have an extra bedroom or something, but there was another tenant that was paying $860 a month, right? So the judge is theorizing and giving us some context, which is really good to kind of, for those of us who want to be landlords, understand some of the different mediums that you can be a landlord in. This one has a weekly rental, and the downsides can, vary. But one of the downsides that he's speaking of is that the weekly rentals are higher because there's times that they stop paying, maybe middle of the month. And to evict them takes about 3 months of time, right? So, between 30 to 90 days, depending on, how fast they'll go. And in that situation, they get about 3 months extra time. And now you're sitting, if you're doubling your money in 1 month on them, they pay 1 month, they get 3 months free. That means that you've only reserved 1 month of, arrears, if you will. And that may be hard to follow with the math, but basically my point is, if you're charging them double to stay for a month, and they pay you the $1,600 that month, and then they don't pay the next month, and you go through the eviction process of, it's about 2 more months for eviction, 2 to 3 months later, you're looking at 3 to 4 months of non-payment, and you've only doubled the charge. So you only have, money for the first month that they were there and the second month. And consequently, you're out 2 to 3 months rent. That's basically what I'm saying. So that's a theory as to why the rents are high, is because you have high turnover, which there are certain locations that won't allow you to rent anything less than 30 days, because high turnover can bring forth different tenants that are not really vested in the community for which they live, because they're not planning to live there long. So they might, throw trash. They might, come and go, crazy hours, crazy party hours, and have lots of people over and just be a little unruly to the area as a whole. So you got to be sure to know what you're buying into. Like my area is a planned urban development. So we have single family homes in the area, but we have an HOA. And not everyone knows that. They drive through, they don't think there's an HOA. Yeah, there's an HOA over here. So our HOA, we have voted that only rentals of 30 days or more in our neighborhood. And there's other neighborhoods like that, Beverly Hills and so forth. So, when you have those Airbnbs, you're breaking the law of the neighborhood if for those that have that particular restriction. It's called the CCNRs, which I believe is conditions, covenants, and restrictions. And so just basically means what you can't do, what you can do in addition to what the law allows you to do, right? So make sure to know. Make sure to know if your particular property that you have an interest in purchasing or you have already has an HOA, has CCNRs, or any type of restrictions that prevent you from doing weekly rentals. But then take into consideration weekly rentals for an Airbnb is high rent. That's great. And you're not really creating a tenancy. They're only there on a contract. And what I mean by that is they don't have the rights that a tenant would have if you're there for like an Airbnb contract. However, if you're doing a weekly rental to someone for residency as a residential rental, then they do have tenant rights. And you can hear, as the judge says, they have up to 3 months. So you're really not saving yourself anything when you're doing a weekly rental that's not really surrounded around Airbnb. Under the Airbnb model, you're making money and you're not taking on tenant responsibilities and rights. But if you're doing just a straight out weekly rental as a tenant, then you have created a tenancy relationship, and that creates the tenant having the rights and responsibilities. So you might as well just do a 30-day, and then that way you have someone that's more committed to the location than someone who's just going to be there a week here and there. But it's up to you. Just know what the rights and responsibilities are for you. Okay. And make sure you know that your
That lowers your rent substantially if you just don't pay it.
I guess it does. That's Mr. McNeil, the Jeremiah.
All right. Well, we might as well utilize the time to deal with that.
Okay. He doesn't get in, so let's move along here.
There's two that he can call if he can't zoom in.
Well, let's see what we get here. Our other matter is 9:50 or 9:40, and that one isn't actually until 10, but well, we lost him.
And I think a lot of the people from Country Hearth think they're going to get assistance from Keystone, but the money, all the ceremony's gone now.
Yes.
So they're theorizing as to why.
Well, maybe he'll be back. Address Binkley next.
We can speed it up.
Maybe we ought to set these country. When I set the next batch of Country Hearth cases 5 minutes apart.
Yeah, I think you can bunch them up because typically there's not much in the way of issues on them. That might be able to get the docket to move a lot.
Actually, it's pretty quiet. I don't think Judge Pattison has anything this morning. I think Circuit Court might be busy, but it's not too busy on this floor this morning.
Yeah, he's got something starting at 10. I think I told Jimmy a call about the golf outing before. He's real busy, so we can get up to speed on what we got going there.
All right, it is 9:40. Let's call Country Hearth Inn versus Alan Binkley. Mr. Binkley is in room 21 there at this address. Again, service by attachment. The officer made multiple attempts, 7:18, 7:23, and 7:27 to serve this. So that took 9 extra days just to get the service. The notice to quit was June 16th. Again, we've got a number of defendants that they're trying to terminate their tenancy, but the process takes a while, particularly after you wait 9 days to get service. If they had been served on the original date of 7/18, this hearing probably would have been
Done with.
that would have been probably July 28th.
Yeah.
At any rate, they aren't here and they aren't personally served. So we'll continue this. We'll set it at 10:30 with the other one.
Okay.
You're going to be here anyway.
Yeah.
Expect it will be default.
All right.
All right. Now we'll wait for our other guy, Mr. McNeil,
Mr. McNeil,
to come in. That is set for
trying to connect.
10 if he comes in early. Now my next matter is 9:50. I'm going to call the jail. The defendant is in custody.
Okay. I'm gonna mute.
All right.
Is it a landlord?
Good morning,
case?
booking. We're ready for Shasta Vogel for landlord tenant court.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay. So he's in Shasta. Somebody's in jail on a landlord case. All right. They must be in for another reason, but it's kind of bad. Let's see if we can get copy. Top of law. Uh-oh. Me and these buttons.
He's Raymond Hunter. I don't believe is very technologically savvy. I expect he'll probably be here in person.
See, he knows his people. He's like, hey, not coming in by Zoom. You're gonna walk in. Okay. Action here. Action. Oh, he died off. Oh, that was Andy died off. Okay. St. Joseph's kind of.
Good morning, Ms. Vogel. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Yes, can you?
You're not in any criminal trouble. This is the landlord tenant case where Mr. Hunter is trying to terminate your tenancy. And rather than have him bring you over, I just said I'd have you come in by Zoom. So I'm going to put you in the waiting room and I'll be with you in just a couple of minutes, okay?
Okay. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Mr. McNeil hasn't come back. Mr. Hunter's not here.
What's going on with the people? That 80-degree weather is so good out there. The judge was telling us about. They don't want to come to court. Huh? Trying to enjoy the sun.
I don't know whether Mr. Hunter is even going to show up.
Oh boy.
I don't drink coffee. That is iced tea.
Drinking iced tea, okay. Drinking hot tea for my throat so I can talk. Oh, Jeremiah made it. I think it's
Good morning, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, this is Judge Middleton.
How are you?
Andrew Rognus is also here. Could you remove your hat, please?
Yes, I sure can.
What's your name?
Jeremiah McNeil.
The title of this case is Bentwaters Apartments
Yep.
versus Bryce McNeil.
That is correct.
1793 GC. The garnishee defendant is John McNeil and McNeil General Construction of Marcellus. Are you here on behalf of McNeil General Construction?
Yes, I'm the owner of that company.
All right, Mr. Rognus is here. He sent me an email yesterday telling me this matter had been resolved.
Yep.
What's the status, Mr. Rognus?
Yeah,
Andy, you're on mute.
Your Honor, Mr. McNeil got in touch with his cousin. His cousin made arrangements to pay it with a wage assignment, and he was never actually an employee of McNeil General Construction. We just didn't get a disclosure back saying that. That's why we filed the OSC.
What?
So Bryce never worked for McNeil Construction?
Well, he never worked for John McNeil at McNeil General Construction. The John McNeil is his father.
Okay.
I am his uncle. I owned McNeil General Construction when Bryce first got out of high school years ago. I tried to kind of show him the ropes of construction, and it did not go as planned. He only worked for me for maybe 2 or 3 months, which is why I was a little taken
This
back when I
wage
actually received this
garnishment?
paperwork. And I thought I transferred it to the right people because, like I said, John's my brother. And then, of course, I got a thing that said that nothing was resolved, and that was why I wanted to make sure I got here today to make
Well,
sure.
apparently it's been resolved and this matter is dismissed by the plaintiff.
Okay.
All right, good luck. Get back to work. It's a nice day out there.
Oh man, beautiful day today for what I got to do. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Your
Andrew.
Honor.
Okay, so I think that's.
All right, Andrew, that finishes our morning.
Andrew's like, let me
Oops, I don't want to remove
free.
that. All right, there was McNeil and Mouth and McNeil, and this case is dismissed.
All right,
But Andrew wanted to make a record on it, and we did.
okay.
Defendant, Garnishy.
Okay, yeah, garnishment. Okay, that was the garnishment case. I'm not used to Judge Middleton's court docket being kind of mixed in. Usually it's like
All
landlord,
right, let's bring Ms. Vogel in here.
criminal, probation, hearing, or whatever. She's right there.
Good morning. I'm looking for Raymond Hunter for landlord tenant court. All right, thank you. Bye. All right, he's not even here. Good morning, Ms. Vogel. Let's talk about this case. This is file 23943LT. It's entitled Raymond Hunter versus Chess.
So just remember, if the landlord misses the court date, it may not be such a bad thing, but if the tenant misses the court date, it doesn't stop the show. You keep on going, default happens. Well, they have to do it in the succession. So if it's the first court date, then it's the continuance for the next week. And then from there, it can be a default judgment. And then the default judgment goes into play 20 days from there is the writ of eviction, right? And so things just keep rolling if you don't show up as a tenant. Not always the case with a landlord.
That's a Vogel.
Definitely
This
the
is,
tenant doesn't
thank
stop
you,
the show
Mr. Hunter.
unless the tenant was not served. So if there's an issue with service, like there's no personal service and no substitute service and no, true attempts, like you've only tried one time to serve, then that will give the tenant extra time because the judge wants to make sure the tenant is informed of the proceedings. Oh, can you hear me? Oh my God. I was talking, you couldn't hear me. Oh. Basically, I said, if a landlord does not show up, it doesn't necessarily stop the case from rolling. It could not, depends on, what's going on with the case. If a tenant doesn't show up, it doesn't stop the case at all, unless there's no service on the tenant. So the last 5 tenants that came up, they got a continuance, but they were served by substitution. So their ball is still rolling. Their timelines and their ticklers are still going. Unless they can come to court and prove that they didn't receive service by some means. It looks like the landlord is missing this particular hearing, but it may not be a bad thing in the sense that it may not stop the proceeding. So we'll find out.
Hunter's property out on Boone Road. You can't get here from there. And he wants to terminate your tenancy, although he didn't do it right. He started the service process. He never paid the process server, Sergeant Morse. Then he found out you were in jail and took the papers to the jail. Let me ask you a couple questions. Did you ever have a lease or anything with him? You're on mute. I got to get the, I'm not sure what happened.
When you put a person in the breakout room, it goes to.
She got muted somehow. Let's see. She unmuted. All right, thanks. Okay, bye. Yep. All right. Were you living with Mr. Hunter?
I have a place of my own. I'm, I looked at the camper.
Okay, so you have a camper on his property?
He's got the dwelling, he's out there. I don't know why his address is coming up with, this is, 52685.
All right, well, all right. So all right, first of all, do you have a lease with him?
Okay, I'm gonna have to slow it down because of the echo. I can't really hear her.
No.
All right, so the property, all right, well, all right. Okay, so you have a camper on his property?
He's got the dwelling, he's out there. I don't know why his address is coming up with, this is, 52685.
All right, well, all right. So all right, first of all, do you have a lease with him?
Okay, so the judge is trying to talk over her because she's starting to give out an address. And he's like, wait. And I think it's the other guy's address. That's why he's stopping her.
All right, so the property listed is 52683 Boone Road. Is that where your trailer is?
Yes, he was gonna cancel for it. I'm not sure why he didn't.
And that's separate from his house?
Yes,
Okay. Is it his property? Is it his land?
He had a trailer on there at one time. Are you on the pad that was for that trailer?
what's that?
Are you on the cement pad that was there for the trailer?
Yes.
The judge is well informed, you see. And this is kind of why, I don't know if we got that video in, because I think the sound wasn't good, but he asked earlier, he's like, I can't visualize the property. This is kind of why he does this, is because if he knows the property, in this circumstance he does, he has an understanding of what is at issue. And so a trailer is considered personal property. And there are instances where it becomes real property, and real property is the designation of real estate, different forms of it. Single family homes, commercial, those are real property forms. And mobile homes can become real property when they are affixed, right? And so I believe that's probably why the judge is getting into, well, where's your trailer on his property? Is it affixed? And if it's affixed to the trailer pad, then it becomes more real property versus personal. They may affect on how they make you evacuate in terms of tenant rights and tenant laws being applied to the real property, or contract law, civil law being applied to the personal property.
He's not supposed to do this in the first place.
Oh. Oh, Judge, tell us more. We're learning things here. Teach us, Judge.
Are you hooked up to the sewer system or water?
I'm not sure, but still, I don't know if it is or not. I was.
Was there anyone else living there or just you?
Okay.
Did you pay any rent?
Yeah,
How much was rent?
we're paying $300 a month.
All right, well, there are a couple problems. You can't, we went through a number of hearings to get that trailer off of there. He's not supposed to be renting his house lot for someone to live in a trailer. What size camper is this?
36, I think 32 foot, something like that.
All right, it's a fifth wheel or tow behind?
Okay.
30-foot camper. Anyway, he isn't here. So the township, I'm sorry, go ahead.
He was gonna cancel this?
Well, he isn't here, so I'm gonna dismiss it, but the township won't let you do that. So they may be going after him to say, hey, you can't put a camper on here and charge somebody rent. But you're in custody right now. You've been in custody for 28 days. Do you have an out date?
I go to work, I believe Monday, I'm not sure.
So you think you get out Monday?
I hope so. This Monday or the following, I hope.
Monday, August 14th.
Correct.
Well, he's not here. He didn't do it right. He stiffed the process server. He hasn't shown up. He isn't supposed to be having this property rented in the first place. My suggestion is when you get out of jail, you make every effort to just relocate.
Okay.
Have you got any place to go?
Yeah. Yeah.
We've got people struggling. They're living in campers, they're living in garages, living in sheds. I find by default, plaintiff fails to appear and the case is dismissed. All right, Ms. Fogel, best of luck. This landlord tenant case is dismissed.
Okay.
But my suggestion is you find someplace to go,
Okay.
because the township won't let him do what he's trying to do. And I've already dealt with this. He knows he's not supposed to do this. All right. Good luck. You've been 28 days. You seem pretty good today. And so best of luck to you when you get out. Do you have any questions?
To pertain to a different case, I didn't wasn't able to pay my fine this month because I was in jail, and I got a $275 fine on a retail properties. I
Let me look at that.
paid $100 on it already, but
I thought I looked. I didn't see anything, but let's see.
probably I got coming from jail.
The sound in the room you're in is very poor quality. We struggle with it a lot.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Yes.
You paid $100 on July 3rd and you were gonna,
Is this a
you know, $275 and you're on a payment plan. My suggestion is when you get out of jail,
Yeah.
you stop up here at the district court and work on this payment plan.
Okay.
All right, good luck to you.
All right, good luck. All right, so that's the end of
We
that.
had an 11 o'clock matter, Sturgis Housing Dividend Commission, which has been dismissed. So it's disjointed and screwy as this morning was, we have completed it.
All right.
As I indicated, we will be back Monday morning with a civil docket, a landlord tenant docket, and a criminal docket, and then full landlord tenant small claims in the afternoon. So it is a beautiful day here, and it's going to be a beautiful night in Chicago. Everybody have a good weekend and be good where you are.
All right. Thank you, Judge Middleton. All right. So we got some really great information from this last case. So I believe that Judge Middleton dismissed the case because obviously the plaintiff wasn't there. But I think the reason why it affected the matter so much was because he didn't have the right to rent the property out. And I think he knew that, and that's probably why he didn't show up, right? Because he knew, I'm in Judge Middleton's court. Judge Middleton's already been working against me or judged against me relative to the township, telling me that I could not have a trailer there. And now he's renting a trailer there, renting out a space for a trailer. So he didn't get his rights together. His township says, no, you cannot have a trailer on your property, hooked up and being used. And he turned around, took his trailer off and rented it to someone else. And they had the audacity to sue them for non-payment when in fact he was illegally renting. So you can't, the court will not, I can't think of the saying, but basically if you had a drug deal, the court is not going to make the drug dealer give you your money back because they gave you the wrong crack. Like, it's not going to happen. The court is not going to get in the middle of illegal activity. So if he did show up, he would have probably lost anyway, because the court's not going to award him rent for something that's illegal. And the court might have gotten into, well, how much have you been paying? $300 a month for how long? And, for the last 6 months, oh, he owes you 18, They might have got into that had he showed up. So I guess he decided not to show. It was a very eventful uh, half of the morning. And as the judge said, it was kind of disjointed, a little discombobulated, something we're not necessarily used to with Judge Middleton's court when it comes to the way the docket is flowing. Because we had criminal matters in between and, you know, some wage garnishment going on. I'm not even, and if Andy was dealing with this, I don't even know if Andy practices a different law. Like if he does landlord tenant and something else, a lot of attorneys do, so he might. Or if it had something to do with landlord tenant. I can't imagine that it would. Wage garnishment unless there was a judgment. So in that instance, if there was, say, some type of damage done to the property, the judgment, the landlord goes and gets a judgment, then I can see wage garnishment on that. It's like putting the lien against the employee. So that could happen. But wage garnishments a lot of the time have to do with family law, because you see that a lot in family law. But it would happen if there is a judgment, a money judgment. The court wants the money. They don't want to sit around and just hold judgment against you for 5 years or 1,000 years. Like they want the money, so they'll garnish it. IRS will garnish your money, right? So all kinds of garnishment can happen. So I think that might have been the situation, but we really didn't get details on that case. It just was a matter of the person that they wanted to garnish their wages from did not in fact work at the location that they had served. So they had to dismiss it in that regard. So anyway, today was lovely. We learned some things. I hope you've learned some things, because now look, we know something about trailers, right? You got to make sure you can hook up the trailer, that you have permission to do that before you start renting out your backyard. In these times, that's a great idea. Rent out your backyard, right? Get a trailer hookup, rent out your backyard, and you know, make your rent and your mortgage, really, because you can't do it on place that you're renting, because you have to have the landlord's approval. So it's going to be highly unlikely the landlord is going to approve you making that kind of change to their property. Anyway, thank you for hanging in there with me. Thank you so much. I know it's been hard, trying to hear me, and my voice has been crazy, and I've been fighting against it, but I think we got through it. It was a great day at Judge Middleton's court, as always. Like, we totally love Judge Middleton. In the next day or so, or a couple of days, because today's Friday, I'm going to try and work on getting some more judges before us. Judge Simpson's, see about his landlord tenant docket, and look into a couple of others, because we've had some really great finds in all of our courts. So thank you, Michigan, for keeping up the Zoom court. We really appreciate that. I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for subscribing. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this particular video. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe to the channel. But at the very least, make sure that you're sharing the video, because this might be something you kind of like, oh, I knew this. Oh, yeah, I knew that. But you will not believe how many people do not know, right? So if you share it to your social media platforms, it could get into the hands of someone who doesn't know, and they might need this information. So knowledge is key and power. So go ahead and give some power to your fellow people. All right. Thank you guys. Lyric Armstrong, your real estate agent and advocate. Until next time.